What's up, everybody? This is Mario, and I'm back with another episode of Endurify. And just got to give an update because I am like 19 days away from my half Ironman Des Moines, and I'm getting super excited. So I just got the kind of athlete guide email yesterday, signed up for the time to actually get my bike check-in and get my bib number and get all of my swag. So got that figured out. Got the hotels figured out, and right now I'm just like trying to get through my last long week of training before I start my taper. And the past couple of weekends have been a couple of like longer rides, longer runs. And this past Sunday I had a really hard run. I did 11 miles, and it was actually Monday, so I took an extra rest day on Sunday, with Monday being Memorial Day. I did an 11-mile run, and I did it at kind of like a race pace. And so a lot of my runs have been in the lower kind of heart rate zones. But as I'm getting closer to race day, I've been trying to kind of get a little bit more race specific. And I went really hard, and I'm feeling the effects of it. So even still today, I feel like my T-band is sore. My legs are sore. My hips are sore. So I've been trying to kind of stretch things out, focus on my hip mobility, working on my core, working on my glutes. I've been foam rolling. I've been stretching. I've been doing all of those good things. But I'm just really just trying to get through this last week, and then I can start the taper. And this weekend I've got a long bike ride and then a run right after, so brick workout, and then I'll probably go for a longer run on Sunday as well. And then Monday and Tuesday of next week starts the taper. And if you've done any endurance events or you're familiar with them, maybe you've done half marathons, and you're just getting into triathlons, then tapering is kind of like an art and a science. And so I've done a little bit of research on it. I'm just going to be sharing a little bit about what works from my personal experience. But I want to get into some taper tips, some kind of do's and some don'ts. And some of this is based on my personal experience. Other tips from here are from triathlete.com, and it's an article by Mackenzie Havey. So like I mentioned, tapering is just kind of when you gradually build in your endurance training over a period of weeks or months. And you essentially, if you're being consistent and you're following a plan that has proven strategies, you're going to be building up your endurance until you reach kind of peak fitness levels. And then typically anywhere from, depending on the duration, depending on what type of event you're doing, it can be anywhere from a couple of days to a week to 2 weeks or 3 weeks before the race is when you're going to start your taper, and your workouts, the distances and the duration of your workouts is going to decline. And that's just so that you can give your body a period to adjust and recover from all of the hard training that you've done over, the weeks and months. And, some people for like a sprint or an Olympic will just take, 2 to 3 days off. But most people for a half Ironman will do a 1 to 2 week taper. And then some people for a full Ironman would do anything from a 2 to 3 week taper. A lot of that depends, like I said, first on the distance of the event. A lot of it depends on kind of the volume that you've been working through training, and it depends on kind of just the personal aspect of that athlete. But for me, I'm going to be doing a 2 week taper. That's just what has worked for me with half Ironman races. I'll have my longest workout 2 weeks before the race. So that means I would have 1 full week of shorter workouts. Then that weekend I would have a much shorter workout, and then it's race week, and then just a couple of really easy workouts that in the days leading up to it. But in terms of taper tips, I want to start and go through a couple of things that you really want to do in your taper. And the first is just kind of stick to your pre-planned taper. So, if you're working with a coach or you're following a plan and it has a 1 to 2 week taper, and those, maybe the run, instead of it being 60 minutes, is 40 minutes or 30 minutes. Just stick to it. Even though you might feel like, oh, I could keep going, I really need to keep going. Just stick to the taper. It's there for a reason. It's been scientifically proven, studied, that tapering can benefit your race performance. So you want to just stick to your pre-planned taper despite how you feel. Another thing that you want to do is you want to try and minimize stress in all areas of your life. Now, this is one where, if you are, training a little bit less, it's going to be more important for you to be sleeping more, and it's going to be a little bit easier for you to sleep more. So, maybe you could add 20 minutes to your regular time that you wake up in the morning, or 30 minutes when you normally wake up. And if you're getting a little bit more sleep, hopefully that's going to help result in you being a little less stressed. This is also might be a good time for you to communicate to your significant other, or the people that you're working with, people that are around you, that you're getting closer to race day. You really want to focus on that, and you really just want to kind of relax, enjoy the taper, get a little bit more rest, be rested and recharged for race day. Another thing is, when you are getting those workouts in during your taper, you do want those to be a little bit more race specific in terms of pace and terrain. So, in your training, you always want to kind of match your training to the actual course that you're going to be going on. But it's even more specific, or more important in the weeks leading up to the race, that you're doing it in a course specific way, but also race specific. So you're going to want to do a couple of runs that are actually at your race pace. You're going to want to do that kind of in your race gear. You just really want to kind of practice like you're going to race. And then as you're getting just a few days before the race, you definitely want to take it super easy, at least 2 days, 2 easy days before your race. But you want to just kind of keep moving rather than doing absolutely nothing. So those are kind of some of the do's. Stick to the pre-planned taper, get a little bit more sleep, try and minimize stress, and try and match your workouts to be a little bit more race specific. Now, a couple of other things come to mind when these are things that you should really not do, things that you don't want to do when it comes to a taper. The first thing is, you really don't want to plan any big events or try any new activities or workouts in the couple of weeks leading up to race day. Stick to the things that you've been doing. Stick to the workouts that you've been doing. You don't want to try and play a new sport or something that could potentially injure, where you could get potentially injured. Injure your back, injure your knee, something like that, where maybe you're playing a different sport that doesn't have the same movements as swimming, biking, running. It's not the best time to experiment with things like that. So that's one thing that you really want to avoid. Another thing is, you don't want to try and cram extra workouts in. So in the first thing that I said in the do list is to just stick to your pre-planned taper. Stick to kind of the plan that you have. Stick to the lower volume. Stick to a little bit more sleep. And this is not a time to try and get an extra swim in, or get an extra bike in, or get an extra run in. You really need to look back on the past 3 months of training, the past 4 months of training, and just rely on that rather than trying to get a few little workouts in the 2 weeks before race day. So those are a few things that you definitely want to avoid. Another one is, you really don't want to push yourself to the point of extreme fatigue. Now, I think I might have actually gotten pretty close to this on Monday in my long run. I went hard, and my body's kind of paying for it right now. And I'm still, I'm 2 days after the run and I'm still feeling it. So I don't think I went way too hard, but I kind of pushed the boundaries a little bit. And as you're getting into tapering, you really want to try and avoid that. You want to try and decrease your volume and give your body time to relax. Then the last thing, you don't want to kind of scale back volume and intensity so much that you feel flat. So, if you have a well-designed taper, you have a few more rest days potentially, but you want to keep your body moving, and you want to make sure that you're still, getting some daily movement in. You want to make sure that you're getting some workouts in. It's just not as long of a distance as you have been doing them in the past. So those are just a few kind of taper tips, things that you're going to want to do, things that you're not going to want to do. I'm just at the point in my training where it's like, I just got to get through this week and get to tapering, because tapering is something that I really look forward to, because this is when I start to shift from the physical aspects of training, starting to get into the mental aspects. Because, once you get a couple weeks out from your race, one workout isn't really going to make a huge difference. Two workouts, not going to make a huge difference. As long as you're just kind of slowly putting the work in, getting those workouts in, it really starts to become a time of, how can I mentally prepare for this race? How can I start to think about what's going to happen? What are all of the potential things that can come my way? How am I going to deal with those? And that is where I love to be. That is the space that I love to play in. And I'm just excited for race day coming up in 19 days. I haven't done a triathlon since 2019 because of 2020, because of COVID. So I'm just looking forward to being back out there and challenging myself and becoming the best version of myself in the process. So bringing it back to you, these are some tips on tapering. Some do's, some don'ts. I hope that helps. And if you have any questions, reach out to me, Mario@endurify.co. Would love to get in touch with you. I'll talk to y'all later.